I don't usually do video vlogs. They're a little uncomfortable for me. I prefer writing. My thoughts are more linear that way. But something kind of occurred to me earlier that I've got to work through my discomfort here because there's so much going on out there, and a lot of people don't say anything because they're so uncomfortable with saying them out loud. And on video, they don't like the way they look, they don't like the way they come across, whatever. I think I was kind of there. Anyway, so here are some of my thoughts. In the past week, we've gone through a lot, and there's a lot of emotions running high. There's a lot of people who are angry, there's a lot of people who are happy. And for the people who are kind of dejected and upset, there's a lot of good that's happening too. This fight isn't over. And I think what I really want to come across is that this isn't over, and there's a lot of fighting left to be done. Just because we may not get our way this particular election, and it's not over. The vote still has to be certified. The courts have to do their thing. The inconsistencies in voting still have to make their way through the process, and everything has to be gone through with a fine tooth comb. There's just so many instances around the country, particularly in these battleground states, where serious questions need to be addressed. And most of us who support Donald Trump, we recognize that if it's followed, that's part of our principles. If everything is followed to the letter, and Biden is still ahead, as unlikely as it is, then so be it. Then he's the president for the next 4 years. That doesn't make everything better by a long stretch of the imagination. It just makes our fight even that much harder. And here's why. Not only do we have to keep fighting for the next battle and the next election, make sure the next presidential election in 4 years is not as screwed up as this one, but if you have the time to look up on social media and on Twitter and even on the mainstream media, there's a meme that was out there that said to the effect that Donald Trump was the one standing between the left and the rest of us who hate us for voting for him. That is never truer now. If they succeed in taking the White House, that protection makes it that much more difficult. If you go to Alexandra Ocasio Cortez's page, she actually tweeted that there were going to be lists of Trump voters, lists of Trump contributors, and um, that they should be looked at and they should be held accountable. Accountable to what? Accountable to whom? And how are you going to make them accountable to anyone? What does that mean? These are the things we've been trying to say for years. For the last 4 years, we have been bombarded with Trump is a fascist and those who vote for him are evil, racist bigots, and they hate black people and they hate trans people and they hate gay people. And no, we don't. Those people who suffer from TDS, have they sat down and spoken to any of us and asked us what we think and what we feel? Do they even see us? They see us as somebody in their way, somebody that did something they didn't like. And if you think it was hard to be a Trump supporter the last 4 or 5 years, can you imagine what's going to happen if Biden takes the White House? And let's all face it, nobody really believes that Biden is going to be the president for years. We've all witnessed his mental decline. And with Nancy Pelosi pulling out the 25th Amendment, even saying on record that it was not for Donald Trump, what do you think it's for then? It's to bring in somebody we never wanted through the back door. That's a reality that we really are going to have to face. There's a lot of people out there who are praying, and I continue to pray. I am not necessarily a religious, but a very spiritual person, and I have a very close relationship with my God. And there's something that really has to be taken into consideration. And I thought of this the other day. We pray and we petition God for the things we want. And most of us think in the short term. Most of us think, this is what I want now, God, can you give it to me now? Sometimes the answer is not yet. Those of us who are faithful are going to have to realize that if we don't get the answer we want right now, it does not mean that our prayers were not answered. It does not mean that he doesn't hear us. It may mean not right now. There are so many times, so many people, and we've all done this, that we pray to God for something we want in the short term. I want to date that person, or I want that job, or, I pray for this position. And when time comes and we don't get that person, we don't get that job, we don't get whatever it is that we were asking for at that moment, years down the road, when something else materializes that puts us in a really, really good position, then we can look back and say, oh, I get it. Okay, I really wasn't ready then. It could be a real possibility that that's the case now. We still have, very likely, we've held the Senate. We picked up a lot of House seats. So there are protections for us in the event that Biden actually makes it to the White House. So Biden's already put out statements that he's going to mandate masks for everyone. And there's a real possibility that he's going to make us lock down again. I'm tired of it. I don't know about you guys. I am sick and tired of this lockdown. And I know so many people who are. If you think the last year, it hasn't even been a year, since March, that it was bad then, and we've already lost so many businesses. Jesse and I went to Fresno yesterday, and there were businesses closed. I know you've seen the businesses that have shut down for good in your own towns, everywhere. That is only going to get so much worse if we lock down again. And you get these people who are, but we have to do it because we got to save lives. And yes, we have to save lives. Well, what about those lives who are going to be destroyed in the meantime because they have no income? Who's going to make the stuff for us to live on if we're all shut down? Then what? Nobody thinks beyond, I hate this guy. Nobody thought beyond Orange Man bad. I still haven't gotten a logical and reasonable answer to the question, what made Donald Trump so bad? We've had 4 years of peace. We've had 4 years of peace. When they told us that Donald Trump is going to take us into World War III, Donald Trump is going to make us go to war with North Korea, Donald Trump is going to make us go to war with China, Donald Trump is going to destroy America. Did he? No. With the exception of some conflict at the beginning of his presidency, he stepped across the DMZ. No president has done that. Having personal relationships with foreign leaders is a good thing. How are you going to negotiate peace if you refuse to talk? Those are the things that he's done for us. 3 historic agreements in the Middle East. Things that presidents have been promising for decades and haven't gotten done, and he did it. The amazing unemployment rates were so low for every demographic until we got hit with the virus. Everyone was doing better. Even those who hate Donald Trump, if they took his name out of it and stepped back and looked, they could see that. But we've been bombarded day after day after day with a narrative stuffed down our throats of 90% negative, orange man bad, Russia failed, and impeachment failed, and Ukraine gate failed. Now they're trying it again. They may succeed. We don't know. I'm still going to pray, and I am still going to fight. I've seen people post on social media that they're going to cut people out of their lives because they voted for Biden. Please don't do that. Every single one of us in a different arena knows somebody who has done something they should not have done, whether it be a brother, sister, mother, father, friend who's gotten into a bad relationship, and they see the writing on the wall, but they refuse to believe it. That's kind of what this is like. They're going to need you when their eyes are open. Don't cut them out. You can't be there for them if you shut them out when their eyes are open. And they're just likely going to dig in their heels even harder. Besides, I mean, none of us are innocent. None of us are innocent. We've all done wrong. We've all made bad decisions. We've all believed something we knew was wrong, but we believed it anyway because it satisfied our short-term emotional needs. That boyfriend who you knew was bad for you, that relationship that was toxic, but you stayed anyway because you were too afraid to admit that you were wrong. We've all been there. And if we go down that route of telling people, I'm not going to talk to you because you voted for Biden, how is that different from when when people cut off children, parents, grandchildren, friends out of their lives? How are we better than that? We're better than that. We don't have to play nice. Don't get me wrong. We don't have to roll over and be like, oh, kumbaya, la 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 la, like they're trying to do. You think that people who are willing to stand by and stay silent while cities burn, people are beaten to death on the street because they're Donald Trump supporters? You think that all of a sudden with a Biden presidency, all that's going to just evaporate and now all these people are going to be suddenly tame and accepting of your differing opinion? Of course not. If Donald Trump isn't there, who are they going to direct their anger at? Those who voted for him. Their anger, their destructive nature is not going to go away. Their emotions that they are so attached to aren't just going to evaporate. They're not just going to be like, okay, I'm not mad anymore. That doesn't happen. That does not happen. I just want people to see things for what they are. Talk with your better angels. Don't allow yourself to become the demon you fight. Those people who want to destroy us not only want to win this election, they want to come after all of us who dared to vote for Donald Trump and not only discourage us from voting again, not only shame us into compliance. That is not where they will stop. They want to crush our spirit so that we never defy them again. I've seen it. There are people on my feed that have a vitriol, I don't even know what you call it. It's that against half the country, calling them all racists and bigots because they dare think differently. There's room for us all, and there's room for conversation, and there's room for agreeing to disagree. But when there are people like AOC and Jake Tapper going on television, tweeting and going on television, saying that now Trump supporters need to somehow pay for what they've done, don't you see the danger in that? I realize that a lot of the things that I post, the videos, the people that I watch, a lot of people aren't going, or they don't actually listen to them all the way through. Some do, and I know who does, and I kind of know who don't. But please listen. Please listen. The calls for unity right now from a side who just hates with a passion the people who disagree. Do you really think those calls are for real? If you go out, anyone who's paid attention with any significance will see that the destruction has been on one side. It's been very one-sided. During the Trump rallies and parades, there were thousands of people on the streets marching, and not one window broken, not one car turned over, not one fire. But when you get leftists out there protesting Donald Trump, you can expect that. Please open your eyes and see. Step back, look around, and see. In the meantime, I think it's time for us to get together and not be afraid, because Donald Trump wasn't afraid to fight every single day with the media and Hollywood and academia in his face day after day after day after day, and he still came out with no fear to fight for us. We have to put our fears aside and fight for him now. What happens is in God's hands, For he said that he will help those who help themselves. So we will fight and fight and fight until we cannot fight anymore. And if it is God's will that it has to happen differently than the way we pray, then we have to put our faith in his hand and continue to the next fight. But we cannot stop fighting. It doesn't stop here. There's always going to be the next fight coming along, whether it's for unborn children, whether it's for fighting to get rid of this critical race theory that makes people hate themselves and hate someone of a different race and hate someone of a different color simply because they have lighter skin than someone else. Whether it's indoctrinating our kids in school, whatever the fight is, we do not stop fighting. We do not stop fighting. So I think I've said enough. My videos come long enough, but I hope that everyone has a really good day. And remember to keep praying and keep fighting, and I'll see you again.